So yeah, welcome everybody here and online in a very kind of, I would say, comfortable gompa, with AC. So yeah, we're very lucky. I hope people online also are not too warm. Yeah, so welcome. And yeah, before we start, we do a few things. First, the official kind of aspects, and then we do some aspect of generate correct motivation and talk a bit about schedule, things like that. Okay? Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Again, here we are again. Well done for making it here through fires and all sorts people had to overcome. So this is our third year here at Nalanda, doing this annual Lam-Rim retreat with Geshe Namdak. So firstly, I would like to thank the Nalanda team for their generous hospitality. We always feel very comfortable and welcomed here and well looked after. It's very much become a home away from home. So thank you very much to all of the monks and the volunteers who have supported all of our team members and retreatants getting here and settling in really easily. Thank you also to our team members. I mean, there are way too many to count, but especially I want to thank Jackie La for coordinating our basic program over 4 years now. What year are we in? I lose track of time. Venerable Conchog on the tech, Jess for helping with our Gompa diligently, day after day after day, month after month. Freddie G, who just helps me with everything, basically. Venerable Drama, who I don't think is online this evening. She might be, but thank you anyway for being at the masthead of the Jamyang ship. And then, there's Paul in the communications department, Lucia, Maria, there's Cynthia. There's so many people that I can't even enumerate all of them here. All our teaching assistants, some of them we've got here today, our assessors for the basic program, the meditation leaders, the SciWiz team. So many people, such a vast sphere of interdependence that has to come together for the activities of Jamyang to flourish. Thank you to all of you. It's a real privilege to go on this journey with you. And also I'd like to thank all of you, the retreatants. It's not easy to get here sometimes, there's an expense and there's travel and you have to take time off of work, and we don't take it for granted. We really do appreciate it, the effort that you have put in. Some of you, it's your third year in a row being here at Nalanda, and also for the online retreatants as well. Equally, you might not have those travel impediments, but at the same time, you have to put, 10 days out of your busy schedules to do this. So it really shows an unbelievable level of commitment. And finally, thank you, Geshe-la. Well, where to begin? But, we've done this for 3 years now, and we feel so skillfully guided by you, each year doing a different scope. And here we've got, the pièce de résistance, as they say in French, the great scope, bodhicitta. And so thank you for bringing us gradually up until this point where we can really expand our minds into opening up to the needs of all sentient beings. May we repay your kindness in leading us skillfully over these years by really putting it into practice and trying to get the most out of this retreat. So thank you, everybody. And then now I'll hand over to Venerable Tenzin Michael, who's going to give a little bit of the logistics for the retreatants here at Nalanda. For those online, apologies, you'll have to sit through some, official stuff about fire safety, etc. But just bear with us while we get through that, and then we'll hand over to Jackie. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Tenzin Michael. I'm like to welcome everybody of you, most of all Geshe-nam Nakla and all the participants of this basic program retreat here in Nalanda. I'm the director is currently not here, so I'm doing this little welcoming. So we're very pleased to have you here. And it's also a blessing for Nalanda to have these strong, committed people here for a good week. It always creates a very nice energy in the monastery, having you here for this retreat. And I also hope that you can benefit from the energy in Nalanda as well. So it's a win-win situation. So I wish you a pleasant stay, and then I go to some boring rules. I try to make it short. So it's a little bit about safety and house rules and so forth. So most of all have been here before. You know the monastery, and Nalanda is a special place. It's a monastic environment, and therefore we have some monastic rules, like the 5 precepts you're probably familiar with, but it's always good to remind. So no killing, of course, even insects and so forth, no stealing, no lying, no sexual activity, and no intoxicants. And intoxicants, of course, is alcohol and drugs and so forth, but here we also include cigarettes. So that means if any one of you is addicted to smoking, you're not allowed to smoke within Nalanda property. So if you have to have a cigarette, you should go outside on the road and not in the property. And then, of course, because now it's very dry, there's a lot of fire danger. So if anyone is smoking out there, keep an ashtray or something, a little jar to keep the ashes and the cigarettes safe, and also not to pollute the environment. Then also, of course, dress respectfully because we're in a monastery, and also support the monks in their vows while you're here. And we have a bit separate areas for men and women. There's the women camping area and the men area here inside the monastery. And then this is kind of the public area here, and over there is the monastic area, the monks' quarters. So please don't enter the monks' building, and also not to go too far this side. And here in the building, the doors are closing around 9:30, and so the building will be locked at night. And there's a code if anyone in emergency needs to go in, or people living in this building. So the code is 22322. And yes, after 9:30, the building is normally closed, except, of course, for emergency. And then about clothes washing, there's a wash basin outside the women's shower block, which is over there in the land next to it. So it is for men and women, but only the sink outside to wash clothes, and only from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So men should not enter the women's area after 6 p.m. And for clothes hanging, there's a clothesline for the women in that area, and for men, there's a clothesline here behind what we call the Tsatsa house, the little building next to the dining tent. So that's where you can dry your clothes. And then the shower and toilet area, so it's everyone's duty to keep it clean after using. And especially the compost toilets, there should only go toilet paper in it, and other waste products and so on. There's a bin next to it. And also the flush toilets here, no napkins or anything except toilet paper. So the eating area is outside under a tent for you, and also the benches in front of the building, and the other area in front of the old building is for the monks and the residents. And another thing about eating, not to feed the cats. They like to come when you're eating, but you're not allowed to feed them because otherwise they constantly beg for food. They're well fed, they're quite fat already, and our food is usually not very healthy for them. So please, you can touch them and pet them, keep them happy, but please don't feed them. And no, about fire rules, so no candles or incense anywhere in the building or also outside because it's very dry. And in case if there's too much smoke or in actual case of fire, if the fire alarm goes off in the building or anywhere, immediately leave the building. And there's a meeting point near the pond, the little lake there. So everybody is supposed to meet there as fast as possible so we can see who's missing and what's going on. So that's it from our side, from Nalanda. And then later Jackie will give some more information to you. So I hope you have a pleasant stay and stay relaxed. And I wish you all a very successful retreat. And it's very nice to have you here. Thank you very much.
Hello.
You okay?
Yeah, I will hold this.
Okay.
This one I need. Thank you. Hello, thank you everyone. Thank you, Gana. Thank you. You're going to make fun of me this year. This year, I actually had a stick, so you'll be careful. Every year, we're talking about my stick that non-existent, but this year, I actually have a stick. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming and coming very far. People like Nitish flew all the way from India. Thank you, Nitish, for coming. He just arrived. Thank you, Ganla, for making this journey, but this time we'll be comfortable thanks to Paris Olympic. So we flew this year. Sorry, not very eco-friendly, but we made it. This year we have quite a lot of people, so it's very nice turnout, and a lot of sanghas come and join us from Nalanda. So it's a very happy occasion. And I don't know how many people joining us online, Wangala? 60 people, so there's about 100 over, slightly above 105 of us or something joining this time. So thank you, Ganla. And so just now, Tanzila already announced quite a lot of things. So we just gonna make sure like a little bit of stuff left on the list. So we're gonna turn off the Gompa lights. You are welcome to stay until 9:30. And then after that, we will also shut the Gompa. So there's like 1 hour after the last session with Geshe-la. Then everyone is supposed to leave the building. Also, the ladies, we are not allowed to stay within the Nalanda compound after 9:30 in the morning, in the night. Yeah, but we will open at 6 o'clock like that. We will turn on the Gompa lights. Dear Yan is our morning gong ringer. So I will task him with turning on the lights as well, because he has a room here in the main building, so he can turn on the lights for us. So you're welcome to come in at 6 o'clock to do prayers or whatever before we start our first session. I think our first session is 6:15, and Yan will ring the gong around. the women's tent and around the blocks here at 6, half an hour before our first session.
But not tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow we will already start. Who wants to sleep tomorrow?
I will.
Huh?
9:30. Just people rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ganla has kindly said, sorry, I didn't. So tomorrow we will start at the first session at 9:30.
Yeah.
And then, so no precepts for us tomorrow who would like to take?
People travel now, so
Yeah.
let people rest.
Yeah, because some people just arrived, like Nitish and Talia, they just walked to the Nalanda like 10 minutes ago. So we will start everybody at 9:30. So before that, if you all want to have breakfast, and we're not going to have precepts tomorrow, so please come and have breakfast at between 7:30 to 9 o'clock, I think. But there is also, some of you have duties after breakfast to wash dishes and stuff, you know. So there's a schedule. So if you are on the dishwashing and clearing for the breakfast, so make sure you do the Karma Yoga at that time. And then every session for us here, every 10 minutes before our sessions, Jan will also ring the gong, but that will just be right outside the main building and maybe at the back of the building, but not everywhere. But the morning one, he will go and wake up everyone around in all the buildings area, and also the women's dorm outside. For the people in MPL, I hope you all have an alarm clock that you all can wake yourself up and be here on time. And also in the Wisdom House. And where's Catherine? Catherine is staying somewhere even further. If you all don't have an alarm clock, please come and see me, okay? Okay. And I think I have one spare torchlight if someone needs a spare torchlight, especially those who needs to walk from here to MPL or Wisdom House, make sure you have a torch with you. And then I have some spare mosquito insect spray, and also after bites, you all can come, we can share, and there is some extras. And I don't know if you all know the system of the dishwashing yet. So we are kind of tasked ourselves. Majority of us here have been to Nalanda last year and the previous year, but there are a few of us who are first-timers. So there will be, a station where we rinse off our plates and all, and the kitchen team and the dishwashing team, they are just going to have putting them in the machine and drying them. But we will hand wash at the cleaning station behind the kitchen. So, and then I think you all know that tomorrow, start in morning, we are all going to have our breakfast and all our meals being collected at the table counter where we had our reception this afternoon. And that is the Zen garden, and all of us will dine outside. So this room, where the dining hall, the inside dining hall, is reserved for the monks and the resident volunteers only. So all of us will have to dine outside, yeah? And because this room, they are allowed to talk, and all of us are on silent, but they will also try to be on silent when they are around us, yeah? So they are all aware that we will be keeping silence. So those of you who find it really challenging to keep silent, please let me know or Wangela know so we can go and talk elsewhere. So yeah, so don't feel alone. We do exceptions to support your retreat, but also to enable everyone else to enjoy their own retreat time. Thank you. Okay. And then we are a bit short of volunteers for the breakfast dish cleaning team in the kitchen. So if anybody who is interested to take extra tasks, please come and see us later, me at the back, after Geshe-la give us some pep talk.
Pep talk, is it? Okay.
I think that's, and then we will have a Karma Yoga. You're already being assigned a Karma Yoga for this entire retreat, so starting tomorrow. So we will have the managers giving us instruction where to take cleaning products and blah, blah, blah after Geshe-la leave the hall tonight. And there is a notebook. Tomo, can you please show? Okay, so this green notebook for us here is any messages that you would like or concerns you have. You can write to me and Wangela in that book. We will check it every lunchtime, and we will address, And for any emergency, please come to the main building, even in the middle of the night, and try to find help here. We are around, so, but most of us don't have phone or anything, yeah. I think that's that, yeah. Maybe Catherine later come and see me for a while before you go. I think, is that all?
We have AC. Thank you, Nalanda.
Oh, we got AC as well. And we are going to be, tomorrow is going to be hotter than even today. So please drink a lot of water. And throughout the day here, we have extra, Robin has kindly purchased extra bottle flask. So if you all forgot, you can purchase there is stock. And so there's hot water bottle, notebooks, toothpaste, toothbrush, whatever you need. So if you need all those, please come and see us. And I think in the next few days' time, we will put out, like, if people need to do shopping, and Robin or I don't know, somebody in Nalanda will kindly do shopping one round for us. So there will be a list, but we will make an announcement later on. Okay? I think that's that, and progressively we'll have announcement from Jackie and Wangala over these 10 days. Okay, so enjoy the retreat, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so welcome, I already said. So I also have to say a few thank yous to the incredible team of Jamyang, of course, organizing in general so many things in Jamyang, but also this retreat, for people here and for people online. So that's, one way very fortunate to have a team like that. Yeah, so it's a very good team because I know them very well. So very hard-working team, but also very open-minded and relaxed, So we're very lucky to have a very harmonious kind of team, And also for Nalanda, of course, to host us here for almost 2 weeks altogether, right? So that's also very fortunate and very comfortable Gompa, and accommodation for some is a bit more challenging, but that's the part of taking the hardships into the part, right? And in the Asian days, then what we do now is extremely comfortable, right? If you see what people went through in prisons or in coming to India and Baksa and things like that, very hot, and then just not having really proper sanitation, but just preserving the Dharma for us, So in that way, we're very fortunate to have incredible conditions, Although for some people might be a bit challenging, right? It's a different country, a different climate, and sometimes you have to share rooms, But that's kind of an aspect of taking difficulties into the part, right, from our mind training. For tonight I won't make it too long, and just to generate correct motivation and do 1 or 2 prayers. But the main thing for us to do retreat, as you know, there's different levels of retreat, right? We do retreat of the body, retreat of the mind, retreat of the speech, and retreat of the mind, right? So in Tibetan, the word retreat is tsam, and tsam means boundary, right? So you put yourself in a boundary, that's what retreat is all about. And of course, the main retreat is the retreat of the mind, but that's not easy, right? We know our mind goes in different directions, so to make proper conditions for the mind, then we put our body somewhere for a certain amount of time. And it can be here in Nalanda or people at home online. that you make a boundary for yourself. Yeah, that you don't go, just think if you want to go for a walk or something, then you extend your boundary, but just to have a particular boundary that you don't cross during the retreat. If you do something like that, later on, when we do Vajrayana retreat, then there's more emphasis on that importance. But even in Lam-Rim, if you put in your mind a clear boundary, and then you can imagine there's a kind of a fence or something like that protects you and prevents obstacles from coming and prevents your insights from getting out, right? So that's kind of a technique that's been explained. Then if you use a boundary like that mentally, that helps a lot, because you commit yourself to a particular aspect of movement of your body. And that's the easiest one. To put your body somewhere is the easiest one. The next one is the boundary of the speech. So that's why we try to be in silence. Although if it's too difficult for you, there are periods you can find on the schedule and areas you can talk, right? If you really can't, if you really jump up and down because you can't keep your silence, then there's an opportunity to do that, right? So that's one aspect of the speech. And the other aspect, I think, the phones. There's already people, the phones are, off. I mean, off in the sense, no internet and things like that. So that's very important, because also people at home try to follow that discipline the best way you can, because it makes a big difference, right? The moment we go on the internet, then our mind just wanders off in all kind of things that we actually don't really need, right? So that's kind of the boundary of the body and the speech, so to say. And then the next step, if you have those first two boundaries well, then the third boundary is easier. Then you have the boundary of the mind, in that you can focus on the topics more, with more concentration and less distraction. So that's kind of why we do retreat. And you will see in retreat, generally speaking, the mind moves much more into the Lam-Rim, as you will do normally on your daily contemplations, right? So that's kind of why we put those boundaries, to make that more powerful. So then sometimes there you might get a bit unwell, or it's too hot, or long sessions, or things like that, or the mind gets a bit negative sometimes. That happens, right? So you can talk to yourself in silence, or you just take the obstacles into the path, right? That's kind of an aspect of purification that helps. That happens everywhere, So the moment you see it as a purification, then there's more mental peace, and it's much easier to deal with the issues, right? So that's a little bit about the meaning of retreat. And then the main thing today is to generate correct motivation. So as you know, the Lam-Rim, from the Sutra perspective, we're very fortunate to have met Lam-Rim, because there's many people interested in a few secular aspects of Buddhism. It brings great benefit, right? But and there's many people interested in just a little bit of samadhi kind of retreats or meditations. Is also important, but that doesn't lead to liberation and enlightenment, right? So that's for us very important to see that the Lam-Rim, that's the thing we never have much contact with in previous lifetimes. So we have accomplished karma abiding countless times, and have kind of all kind of states in samsara. But the Lam-Rim, we never really had the proper imprints, or imprints we have, but proper realizations, let's put it that way, So that's why we're here, and luckily we did have some imprints, otherwise we won't be here, right? So it's very fortunate, because the Lam-Rim, if you read the Georgia, for example, the practice as we do every day, and a summary of that, right? A very abbreviated summary. Then in the beginning of the Georgia, then it says, "Ma samye tanje gidunde, nyuro yanda was over sangi komant over cha de chide, lama neljo git kazangi, lamgiti rimbanajuba jo." So that means that there it says, for the benefit of all modern sentient beings, I need to achieve the state of enlightenment. and quickly and most quickly, right? There's two aspects of swift or quick. Yeah, so in the Vajrayana we have that, as we know. In the Lama Chöpa, same thing. But here is a sutra-based practice, and the Lam-Rim is sutra-based practice. So the first nyurwa, or the first quick or swift aspect, is the aspect of the Lam-Rim. Yeah, you can study Buddhism in great detail, but without the Lam-Rim you miss the overview, right? So that's kind of why the Lam-Rim is actually fast. Yeah, in the sutra vehicle is one of the fastest tracks, because it prepares your mind in a particular sequence, right? It's very structured. If you, for example, study the great 5 texts, as we study in the monastic institutions, if you don't have the Lam-Rim, you have to be very skillful to organize the topics in a way to progress in a very structured way to liberation and enlightenment, right? So that's why the Lam-Rim is so incredibly profound, because it prepares our mind step by step, and one step built on top of the other. So that's kind of why the Lam-Rim is extremely swift from the point of view, even from the sutra system. Yeah, and then the second swift is, of course, the relation with Guru devotion and in particular the Guru yoga. So that's why we do prayers in the morning, right, as an aspect of that, and we also our meditations we do with Sakyamuni Buddha. And then if you have a relation with a guru, then you think that the Buddha is not just an external form, but a kind of emanation of the guru, right? And then there's more blessing. If you do it in that way, then the 2 swift aspects will come about. Yeah, that you get quickly blessings, as we do in the mornings. We will do the praise to the lineage masters, right? If you really think they're actually there, and you have the faith they're there, and we give a few descriptions of that, so you get used to it throughout the retreat, as we also did last year. And then, although you might not be able to visualize them all, but at least if you have the faith they're there, and then you make prayers to them, then there can be a bestowing of blessings, or that the mind moves in the Lam-Rim much quicker than otherwise it's just dry, right? Yeah. Last 2 days I was just reading a few transcripts. I just had to check for Rinpoche some teachings on emptiness, and they're also Rinpoche very, very strong on Guru devotion, and kind of otherwise just dry, Rinpoche said. Yeah. But if there's Guru devotion, then the blessings come. It's like moisture, right? So if you have a kind of soil which is very dry, then it's very hard, and then it doesn't really has this moisture, So that's, for that purpose, faith and blessings are very essential, right? And then if you combine that with the Guru devotion, then it can be very fast, So that's the other aspect. Yeah. In the monastery, we had one disciplinarian, one Gegu. He once explained that in India, when you put a roof, a floor on the roof, concrete, right? Concrete slab. Then, because of the heat, they always put cement. Those what is called those bags of because they're made out of this cloth. What is it? How do you call that cloth? The potatoes they in this bag. You know what I mean, right? So they put it on top and they put water to harden the cement. But normally, if you put water on soil, it softens it. Right, so then once the disciplinarian said, these days people don't have faith, but if you have real faith, then it's like softening the soil for the kasa, for the crops to grow, But yeah, he said, if you don't have faith, it's like putting water on the concrete. The more water you put, the harder it gets. So that means the more you study, but if there's no real faith in the teachings, then it becomes hard. Your mind becomes harder rather than softer, right? In the sense of the Lam-Rim, So that's kind of why we do prayers in the beginning to set our mind, and every meditation also we do visualization similar to the Georgia. And as you know, the Georgia comes mainly from the easy part and the swift part, right? The 2 experiential Lam-Rims by the two Panchen Lamas, right? Of course, our main focus should be on the Lam-Rim Chemo and the mid-length Lam-Rim by Lama Tsongkhapa, right? And as we already went over in the BP to the mid-length Lam-Rim. So if you have that knowledge, and then you go into the two experiential Lam-Rims of the Panchen Lamas, the easy part and the swift part, then you know how to meditate on the Georgia, you know how to meditate on these points. So the meditations we do, they come from those two texts, right? The easy part and the swift part. Yeah. So that's a little bit what we're gonna do. I will use the outlines of I want to keep the tradition alive because I've received many Lam-Rim teachings. I don't have any realizations or understandings, but there's blessings of my own teachers. So I want to keep the tradition alive, and that means that I will use the main outlines of the Precious Master instruction, which actually is the outline of the easy part and the swift part combined together, right? As we did at previous years as well. And yeah, that's that aspect. And then we won't explain too much, but to try to focus more on the meditations. I made a schedule that we go through the whole Lam-Rim, but we mainly focus the last few days on the great scope, so to say, right? Yeah, so that's that, I think. So we have 4 sessions a day, and then, yeah, so tomorrow we don't have any morning sessions other than 9:30, so that gives you time to, it's good to relax, because if you push yourself and you're too sleepy, then it doesn't work, right? So the first day, if you make sure you relax a little bit, it's kind of, if you go in a retreat, it's like a seed, right? You start like this, and then the seed is thicker in the middle, So you start slowly, and then you build up, and then in the end, again, you. So same with silence. Today you can talk. Tomorrow, I think 9:30 or something. Then from the session onwards, we keep the silence, right? And then the day after, then we have also morning meditations by a few meditation leaders, right? So that's also compulsory, because then you get more out of this. It's just 10 days, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think the schedule is quite clear. It's there on the door. I don't have to say much about that, right? Yeah. And then being asked to give the Mahayana precepts, which I will do on the 30th. That's a good day. Then we do that, and then people can start taking themselves already the day after tomorrow, right? 6:15, right? That's and then so on the 30th, then I'll be asked to give. So then the 30th on 6:15 till 7:15, something like that. That's one thing, and then also because I feel comfortable. I don't have any realizations or qualities myself, so that's why I use the Precious Master instruction, as that being tradition of many of my teachers, including mainly Lama Dapu Rinpoche, where I received many experiential teachings on Lam-Rim. So I use that as a basis, and then I was also thinking last year in the evenings, as we maybe do only one short meditation, because people are a bit more tired at the end of the day, then to do. Last year I did the lung of the Gaza, of the easy part, right? So I thought maybe this year do the lung of the Essence of Refined Gold. That's the commentary by the great third Dalai Lama on Lama Tsongkhapa's lines of experience, right? Yeah, so that's also kind of, then those who received last year the Gaza easy part, then this year the Essence of Refined Gold. So you have the Panchen Lama and His Holiness being the sun and the moon, as they say in Tibet, right? So they were very great upholders of the Dharma in Tibet. So then you have transmission of both. Yeah, and during the Lam-Rim, we went in the basic program. Then we went over the outline of the mid-length Lam-Rim. So you got that already, So of Lama Tsongkhapa's, okay, so I think that's more or less. Is it? Yeah. So then what only rests us first to do is to generate correct motivation for the coming 12 days, including today, right? And then after that I was thinking 2 prayers. There's one prayer is always good to do at the beginning of an event, or beginning of start of a project. And also Lama Zopa Rinpoche had to put a lot of emphasis on that. It's from Jetson Kasa Mipam Rinpoche on page number 109 of the prayer book. Yeah, so we do that after we generate motivation. And then after that, I think maybe just a Lam-Rim dedication prayer. Yeah, so that those two prayers we do tonight. Yeah, but before we do that, maybe good to reflect upon our motivation, right? I said before that we're very fortunate to have met Lam-Rim and to spend time, because you could have gone to the Olympics or something like that. You're probably very busy because there's so many sports every day. I don't know how people can follow that, but yeah. So luckily you choose to do something more constructive, because every 4 years there's an Olympic game, and then they just improve it a few millimeters or a few split seconds, and everybody jumps up and down. But it's very limited, you know. But yeah, luckily we work on something more constructive and getting out of this jumping up and down in samsara to really get to the levels of liberation and enlightenment, right? So it's very extremely fortunate. So that means that if you do a retreat like this properly, then you create so many good imprints in your mind to, in future lifetimes, again, to meet the Lam-Rim, right? Together with prayers and good intentions, then, and as we said many times before, if you do that for a few lifetimes, then things become stable, and then the realizations will come, right? So that's kind of a straightforward plan we have, or we should have, you know, to study the Lam-Rim and to study related topics, as we do in the basic program, mainly, right, or some other programs as well, to enhance our understanding of the Lam-Rim, because that's the heart of the practice, you know. And so the more imprints you put in your mind of the Lam-Rim, then in future lifetimes you will never really get lost in the understanding of the Buddha Dharma, right? That's very clear. So you know, in the Lam-Rim, it prevents you from seeing contradictions in the teachings, and you see that it's easy to put into practice, right? So there's many great benefits coming from the Lam-Rim, you know. And as we just said, it's kind of a very structured way to move quicker in the realizations of generating renunciation, bodhicitta, and then emptiness, right? So that's one way. Very, very fortunate to have that. So for the purpose of the motivation. So think that we extremely fortunate having the external condition of you know, the incredible conditions here in Nalanda, or people online being able to have time and follow this through Zoom, you know, that is very fortunate. External conditions, but also internally, we are very fortunate because, you know, we have the freedoms and endowments and the interests and the capacity to contemplate the Lam-Rim, you know, and to get some experience of the Lam-Rim. So that's very fortunate, you know, and then we know that whatever imprints we put in the mind is not lost, you know. Maybe if you remember the first time you met the Dharma, it's kind of, ooh, interesting, you know. So that first contact with the Dharma, that ripening of previous imprints is a sign, right? So if you in this life make sure you have stable imprints, then in future lifetimes, of course, you meet Dharma. So so the Lam-Rim, very fortunate in that way, and then also think that there's so many beings who do not have this, you know, the majority of sentient beings, even the majority of humans, they do not have this, you know. So, and they're just wandering around in this cycle of running, jumping up and down, and do all kind of things, and then they die, and then they go to all the states of existence, depends on the karma, and then there's no end, you know, constantly without end. And those beings are exactly like us, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering, but they just don't see the causes for happiness, and they don't see the cause for suffering. So as Shantideva said, they run to its greater cause for suffering, and they destroy with anger and other afflictions. They destroy the cause for happiness constantly. So yeah, they walking around in this kind of field blindly, and they can fall off the cliff any moment. It's kind of that's how sentient beings just so stuck in this cycle. So think that how wonderful it be that you can do something about it and take a responsibility to do something about it. That you're going to train your mind in the Lam-Rim to generate bodhicitta and to realize emptiness for that purpose. That with those realizations, you develop yourself in the bodhisattva vehicle, get a realization of the grounds and paths, and benefit beings more and more the further you get. So try to generate that kind of motivation for yourself, because they really need us, because they just lost in cyclic existence. And we have the power to develop ourselves and to help them, right? So generate kind of motivation for yourself. And then imagine in front or above yourself countless gurus, the gurus you have a connection with, and the different, and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and then darkest dakinas, down protectors, things like that, and the ladies for auspiciousness. So think they all above you, and you quest where recite the prayer. For the 8 noble auspicious ones, you imagine they rain down kind of blessings upon us and all sentient beings that bestow the right conditions for our minds to transform into the Lam-Rim, so to get the insights of Lam-Rim. So think by reciting the prayer for the noble auspicious ones that they rain down at the different groups we pray to. They rain down these kind of nectar and flowers for all the auspiciousness to come about, obstacles to be removed, negative thoughts to be pacified, and our mind to get blessed in the understanding of the Lam-Rim and getting a feeling of the Lam-Rim of every stage. So I think that happens when you recite the prayer.
Page 109 in the prayer book. Could you make it a bit bigger online, Contra? Thank you. Om Nangsi Nanda Ranjin Lundru Pe Tashi Chuchu Jingna Shupaye Sangye Chudan Geden Pakpe Tso Gyunla Chase Dacha Tashi Shu Drume Gyabo Tsenden Lundru Gom Jambe Gembe Geda Peldampa Gyunla Gomba Geba Rakpa Chen Lumbo Taja Zelda Pelda Senjen Tamjen Lagon Drape Yishin Zeba Deva Drapete Senza Juba Tashi Pelbewa Dewa Shekwa Gela Chatse Jamba Junu Pelden Doije Zin Chere Zegwang Gombo Jambe Sai Nimbo Deba Namba Se Nange Nimbo Bajo Kundu Zang Ube Doji Nunjin Da Norbo Dawa Delti Nimai Jeza Lena Taji Bagi Jo Janju Semba Gela Chatse Rinjen Dojo Taji Zegi Ni Dojo Mumza Yingon Kamala
Nadan dudan punzo bebe minu gyalze wangyo kolote rinjen dajo yaji jasen che njugi gyalwa jujin gege ma gezo ngowo dambe belbe wa tashi lamo gyala chatse Zamba chenpo dejo seme bo medon dandan gyabo yugo su Bagye boda lewa mimeza nande seje lazo kolo Jije landa doje chen bewa raldi juje gyazenzi Zazu nezon gale tashibe jikden gyongwa gyala chatse Dada dendi jawa tsomba la gyeda newa zewa kunjine Dundam belde zamde yejundu Tashi dele punzon sokpa sho.
And the Lam-Rim dedication prayer. Page number 96.
From my two collections, vast space that I have amassed from working with this effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom, eyes blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded parts of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I read this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this graded path to enlightenment, completed due to the wondrous, virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions practicing the excellent paths never be pets in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may you always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Then the swift return for Lamso Rinpoche, 93.
Fearless teacher, an assembly of children of the victorious one, Shravakas, Prateka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, together with your lineage, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please now bestow the virtue and goodness to accomplish this prayer. In holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings, through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. Sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, while striving exclusively for the welfare of victorious one's teachings and mother living beings, who suddenly departed to peace. At this I lost hope. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of the mind generation of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a new reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
And then to conclude, page 80, a few dedications. Yeah.
Dagi jine sape gewa di tendan roa kuna gompenda Gepa jetsen losan rapai tembe nimpo rindu saje sho Gari rawe korwe singam so pendan dewa malu jungwe ne Tere zingon tenzin gyatso yi shape jite badu tengyur chi Tup ten chi dan jan dun gyawe Ten chokyo tela karcherab supa Sumden yurmi zimbab chugi Jeda drab tembe
Nejun Samba Rinpoche Magye Panange Gyurji Gyeba Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gonde Bewa Sho Janju Senju Rinpoche Magye Panange Gyurji Gyeba Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gonde Bewa Sho Toni Tawa Rinpoche Magye Panange Gyurji Sheba Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gondu Bewa Sho.
As long as space remains, as long as migrators remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the suffering of migrators. May the King of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish, and the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. Through the power of having made a single-pointed request to you, Losang Dragpa, may all unfortunate manifestations of the degenerate age, illness, famine, quarreling, epidemic disease, Grahasurias, interferers, and so forth be pacified. May excellent collections of conducive conditions increase. Please bless me that my wishes be swiftly fulfilled. By invoking the power of loving kindness and compassion of Chenrezig, and through the force of making extensive prayers, may all sickness, war, fighting, and famine be completely pacified, so that beings have long, healthy, and happy lives. May the glorious Guru's life be long and stable. May all beings equaling the extent of space have happiness. May I and others without exception accumulate merit and purify negativities, and may we be blessed to quickly attain Buddhahood. Gyawa kundu yanda lama dan rame chugi pela lam chusi sadang langi yante rabso ne doje changi gopan yutu sho.
Okay, thank you so much, and then make sure you have a good night's sleep, rested, right? See you tomorrow. Okay, thank you.